On July 12, 2025, the world watched in disbelief as Gabon's president, General Bryce Nguma, stepped off his presidential aircraft in Libreville, proudly waving the MAGA hat. Just days earlier, he has sat across Donald Trump in the White House alongside 4 other African presidents in what was billed as a historic summit on trade and development. But the optics told a different story. Social media erupted. Across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, Africans voiced their outrage. "Embarrassing," wrote one user. "This is what selling your soul looks like," posted another. The hashtag MAGA president began trending, but not in celebration, in condemnation. Here is an African president, fresh from overthrowing a corrupt dynasty, now seemingly cozying up to America's most controversial president. The questions came fast and furious. Had Africa just witnessed the birth of his first MAGA president? Was this savvy diplomacy or shameful submission? And what did this moment reveal about the dangerous dance between African sovereignty and Western powers? In this episode, we expose the first ever Trump MAGA African president, his strategic game, his shocking symbolism, and the dangerous dance with America's most controversial leader. To understand the MAGA hat moment, we must first understand the man behind it. General Brice Nguema didn't arrive at power through conventional means. On August 30, 2023, he led a military coup that toppled Ali Bongo, ending a 56-year family dynasty that had ruled Gabon since 1967. But Nguema was no ordinary coup leader. He was Bongo's cousin, family turned against family in the ultimate betrayal. More damning still, he has served as the head of the Republican Guard, the very force meant to protect the president he would later overthrow. This was palace intrigue at its most Machiavellian. Yet, Nguema proved politically astute. Within months of seizing power, he orchestrated elections and won by a landslide, 96.5% of the votes. Critics called it theatrical democracy, but it gave him the legitimacy he needed on the international stage. Here is a leader who would tell the world, "Yes, I led a coup, but the people chose me." Nguema cultivated an image as a man of the people. He performed traditional rituals at his inauguration, invoking ancestral spirits and Gabonese culture. He danced at campaign rallies. He summoned corrupt officials to account for stolen funds. To many Gabonese, he represented hope after decades of kleptocracy. But if he was really for the people, why return home wearing the hat of a racist president? The red hat said everything and nothing. In those few seconds, Nguema disembarking his plane, MAGA hat held like a trophy. Years of careful image-making crumbled. The backlash was swift and merciless. On Twitter, the most engagement came from negative reactions. 8,500 critical posts compared to just 1,200 supportive ones. African activists used words like pathetic, shameful, and betrayal. One viral comment read, "At a time when African leaders are fighting for sovereignty and dignity, Gabon's president is cheering for a hat. This isn't diplomacy, it's self-humiliation." The symbolism cut deep because of who Trump is and what he represents to Africa. This is the same man who in 2018 reportedly called African nations shithole countries during an immigration meeting. The same president who never once set foot on African soil during his first term, sending his wife Meliana instead. The same leader who imposed travel bans, cut aid, and openly questioned why America should accept immigrants from Haiti and African countries rather than places like Norway. For many Africans, the MAGA hat isn't just political merchandise, it's a symbol of white supremacy, American imperialism, and the very racism our ancestors fought against. To see an African leader wearing it was like watching historical amnesia in real time. The contrast with other African leaders was stark. While Nguema played the grateful supplicant, leaders like Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore have refused to even meet with Western officials who don't respect African sovereignty. But Nguema's betrayal didn't start with the hat. It started right inside the White House. The July 9th White House meeting revealed the true nature of Donald Trump's pivot to Africa. This wasn't about partnership, it was about resource extraction. Trump made no effort to hide his transactional approach, telling the 5 African leaders, "You guys are going to fight, we are not going to trade," and we seem to be quite successful in doing that. The agenda was clear: critical minerals, security cooperation, and accepting American deportees. These weren't the largest African economies. Nigeria, South Africa, and Egypt were notably absent. Instead, Trump had cherry-picked smaller nations rich in resources but lacking diplomatic leverage. Nguema played his role perfectly. While other leaders simply offered their country's resources, he spoke Trump's language. We need weapons, we need security, we need defense, he said, hitting every note Trump wanted to hear. He even praised Trump's role in the DRC-Rwanda peace deal and suggested that the American president deserved a Nobel Peace Prize. But the most revealing moment came when Trump praised Liberian President Joseph Bokai's English in a country where English is the official language. Such good English is beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Trump asked, as if surprised that an African could speak coherently. The condescension was palpable, yet no one challenged it. This was the meeting that Nguema would celebrate with a MAGA hat. A meeting where African leaders were treated like supplicants, where their dignity was optional, and where their resources were the real agenda. But while the cameras rolled, someone else stole the show, and she wasn't even a president. Perhaps the most disturbing element of Trump's African theater wasn't an African president at all. It was Hariana Veras, the Congolese-American journalist who has become Trump's favorite African voice. During the DRC-Rwanda peace deal signing, Veras delivered a performance that will make any propagandist proud. I just arrived from Congo, and let me tell you firsthand what I have witnessed myself, she gushed to Donald Trump. They know your name. They know that a president named President Trump is working hard to finally bring peace to the country. I saw hope. Trump's response was telling, you are beautiful and you are beautiful inside. I wish I had more reporters like you. But who is Hariana Veras really? Research reveals she's no ordinary journalist. She holds exclusive credentials to cover the IMF and World Bank, institutions not known for accrediting journalists who ask tough questions about African exploitation. Her rise through American media came not through hard-hitting investigation, but through promoting Western narratives about Africa. Veras claims to speak for Africa while living in Washington. She presents herself as a continent voice while feeding Americans exactly what they want to hear about Trump's success in Africa. Her claim that Trump is the first president that in the first 100 days focused on Africa ignores the reality that Trump never visited the continent and cut billions in aid. The manipulation is sophisticated. By placing an African face on American propaganda, Trump's team can claim African support while pursuing extractive policies. Veras provides the perfect cover, a black woman validating white power while claiming to represent African interests. But this PR stunt didn't just hide the truth, it covered up something far more dangerous. Trump's claim to have solved Congo's conflict reveals either stunning ignorance or deliberate deception. The war in Eastern DRC involves over 100 armed groups, has killed an estimated 6 to 7 million people, and has raged for 3 decades. It's one of the world's most complex conflicts, rooted in ethnic tensions, resource competition, and regional power struggles. Yet Trump boasts of ending it with a single agreement between Rwanda and the DRC. An agreement that doesn't even address the M23 rebels, who actually controls much of the territory in question. The real rebels, backed by Rwanda, weren't part of the Washington talks and have explicitly rejected the deal's legitimacy. The truth is more sinister. Trump's peace plan is designed not to end the conflict, but to manage it while ensuring American access to Congo's vast mineral wealth. The agreement explicitly mentions establishing an economic framework aimed at enhancing foreign trade and investment linked to regional critical mineral supply chains with potential U.S. partnership. Critics warn that American military involvement could escalate rather than solve the conflict. When peace deals fail, as they repeatedly have in Congo, who will bear the cost? Not America, which can withdraw whenever convenient, but Congolese civilians who will face intensified violence. The pattern is familiar. Promise peace, extract resources, abandon responsibility when things go wrong. If Trump's plan triggers more violence, who will bear the cost? Africa or America? The MAGA hat incident isn't isolated. It's part of a recurring pattern of African leaders compromising sovereignty for Western approval. From colonial times through the Cold War to today's partnerships, the script remains the same. African leaders who play ball get support, those who don't get regime change. Trump has perfected this transactional approach. He can work with anyone, Democrat, dictators, as long as they serve American interests. Countries that comply get trade deals and security cooperation. Those that resist face sanctions, aid cuts, or wars. The 5 African leaders at Trump's table understand this reality. They've seen what happened to Libya's Gaddafi, who challenged Western oil interests. They've watched Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger face pressure after expelling Western forces. They know the cost of defiance. What makes Trump's approach particularly dangerous is its nakedness. Previous American presidents at least pretend to care about democracy and human rights. Trump doesn't bother with such niceties. He wants resources and compliance, and he's willing to work with anyone who provides them. This creates a perverse incentive structure where African autocrats know they can buy American support simply by offering favorable deals. Democracy becomes irrelevant. Sovereignty becomes negotiable. But this isn't just about Brice Nguema. This could be the beginning of a new era of recolonization. As Nguema's plane touched down in Libreville, that red MAGA hat in his hands, a larger question loomed. What does this moment represent for Africa's future? Is Nguema a pragmatic leader making the best of a difficult situation, or a puppet dancing to American tunes? Is his performance in Washington smart politics or sold-out symbolism? The answer may depend on what he does next, whether he uses American partnerships to genuinely develop Gabon or simply enriches himself and his allies. But the larger issue transcends any single leader. As long as African nations remain economically dependent on raw material exports, their leaders will face pressure to compromise with whoever offers the best deals. Whether that's China, America, or Europe matters less than the fundamental power imbalance. The social media outrage over the MAGA hat suggests many Africans are no longer willing to accept such compromises silently. Young Africans, in particular, demand leaders who assert sovereignty rather than perform subservience. The choice facing Africa is stark: continue the cycle of dependency and humiliation, or chart a path towards genuine independence. Leaders like Ibrahim Traore offer one model: defiant sovereignty even at great cost. Nguema represents another: strategic accommodation with powerful outsiders. History will judge which approach serves Africa better. But one thing is certain: the continent deserves leaders who wear their own flags with pride, not foreign political slogans as symbols of submission. The theater of betrayal continues, but the audience is no longer silent. Africans are watching, judging, and demanding better. This is Frontline Africa. If you value truth unfiltered and power refrained from African lens, subscribe, like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I am Ezekiel Enejeta. See you in the next one.